7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Take it away.
Welcome to the Open Space and Ecology Committee meeting of May 22nd, 2024. First, we call to order Mary Rogers.
Here.
Michelle Salmon.
Here.
I'm Erin Becker, I'm here.
Jason Noonan.
And Jason Noonan. Today, we do not have Barbara Ebel or Glenn Feldman. Thank you. Moving on, we do have a quorum though. Moving on, this is the agenda.
I move we adopt the agenda.
I'll second that.
And a roll call vote. Mary? Do you have to vote if you nominated it?
Yeah.
Okay. Mary?
Okay, voted, yes.
Yes.
Michelle? Jason?
Aye.
And I am also aye.
Okay.
Moving on to announcements.
In case you didn't notice already, whoa, I'm kind of echoey. We have a new projector screen, and your monitors should also be widescreen now. So,
Oh, yeah, it is.
Little upgrade.
Yeah. Thank
I meant to mention that before we started. So not really a major announcement or anything.
Thank you to
But-
the city of
Stars,
Brisbane.
little
Nice.
little upgrade just happened.
All right. Moving on down to oral communication.
There's still wood chips in front of the Sierra Point Yacht Club if anybody needs wood chips.
Oh, okay.
Bring your own container.
I took a lot. There are shovels there. You don't
Yeah.
have to bring that, but you could. Moving on down to approval of the minutes from last time. I will move to approve the minutes.
I will second that.
Okay, Mary,
Aye.
Michelle,
Aye.
Aaron is aye.
Abstain. I'm not here.
But still, we carried it with 3.
I think you're still good because you have a quorum and the majority voted in favor.
There you go.
I think that's how that works.
Okay, good. Moving on down to new business. Today, we're going to talk about the vegetation management plan.
My mic was on. Are you putting it up or am I supposed to have it?
just going to ask you if you want me to put it on the screen.
We are proposing to start working with Recon is their name. They
Karen,
are,
can you bring your microphone closer to your mouth? You still
no,
are so hard
it
to
won't
hear.
come any closer, so I'm gonna have to.
Yeah.
I need like a,
Booster seat?
yeah, I was gonna say phone book.
Yeah.
Because if I lift, my feet don't touch the ground. Anyways, a new contractor, Recon, who actually have as their field supervisor someone from Mark Heath's team. So they propose to do vegetation management. They're new to the Brisbane Acres, so this year they're generally proposing kind of the same areas that Mark used to do to basically pull out invasives and get acquainted with the areas before they maybe come back and, you know, over the years, those of you who've been on the committee, Mark proposed some pilot areas to try to get grasses back and get the overgrowth, the scrub out. For now, they're just going to focus on the 3 main areas and do that invasives removal and get the lay of the land, find their way around, you know, get the feel of the place. So maybe scroll down to their proposal. They come with a lot of experience. Their crews on site are able to do the biologist requirements and the nesting bird surveys that the Habitat Conservation Plan requires for their site activity permit. So they can do that all within, you know, with the same crews and not have to spend money on outside professionals and take away from the actual removals. So that is something that staff is happy about. Further down, just in their proposal. I don't know if you have read, this was attached, right? If you guys have all read this, so just down to what they are. I've asked them to do a presentation after all of their work and kind of tell you what they found and give you a synopsis as we've done in past years, and then that can be a time to kind of talk about, you know, the work product and how you feel about it and if you think there are areas that should be focused on going forward, etc. So that is their report. And on the cost proposal, again, they kind of broke it up as we have in the past to the East End, the Harold Road area, the central area, Humboldt Water Tank, Margaret Water Tank, and then the west, Margaret Upper Paul.
So this is, may I? This is where I had a couple of, something I, wondering if we have the funds to be able to add. Since we had 2 very rough winters with a lot of runoff and a lot of, poor Firth Canyon and also Costaños and Sierra Point, all the canyons have really had a rough time of it the last 2 years with a lot of scouring. And I'm concerned about the ivy again, because it was really the slide of 1982 that it scoured the canyons to where they got totally ivy infested. And so I'm wondering if we shouldn't be proactive now before it really goes and do those.
What I was going to ask Karen is, I can see their proposal and cost. Can you help me remember what the former one was and what our line item in the budget, how much we have to spend?
Well, I did tell them what our budget amount was because they're new to this area, and I basically said, we want to know how much you can cover for what our budget is.
Right. And how much is our budget?
So 25,000. In the past, we only had 20, so we were able to kind of increase it. I don't know if it was
Okay.
this year or the last year. But those canyons, we had a special project a number of years ago to remove ivy that was separate because this money is for the acres. So I think
Do we always tell people what the budget is? Because they took it right up to the edge of it,
well, but they're giving us, they would, I don't, if we said remove all the invasives in all the acres we own, we'd get a proposal for what, a couple $100,000 or more?
Yeah.
And we don't have that.
So it's effectively level of effort. We have this much money, and they're like, we will give you this many hours.
Okay.
Is there any possibility we could get a quote from them on just to kind of clean up, make sure there's no ivy in the 3 canyons that we've worked in, and see if we could get a small amount of additional funding to do that?
I can
Because the
ask, but
longer we wait,
the
the-
council is reviewing the operational budget in like 5 days or.
I know, but the longer we wait,
I know,
the
but I-
worse it's going to be.
I can't get that ask into this budget,
But we
operating
could
budget
ask them and
cycle.
then ask for an interim, maybe amount.
Yeah, we'd have to go to council and make a special ask for that.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't need to hear that from, I don't know, can we do that at this meeting? I can get a quote and I can bring it back. And then you're gonna have to vote on it or.
Okay. It's just, we've done so much work and we spent so much money, and right now, whatever's there is small and easy to get and probably easy to pull.
Name again, Firth, Costaños, and
Sierra Point.
upper and lower.
Uh-huh. Just a quick view, yeah, the areas we did. But primarily Costaños and Firth,
Okay.
because those are both heavily used, heavily walked canyons.
I have a couple questions that it's not related to that. Are we good? with
Oh,
that?
wait, I did have one more question. Can you also get a quote from them on what they would charge us to do ivy removal from city trees? That's the ongoing part of the other tree project, just so we know what we would be asking for. Or do they do that kind of work?
Well, I don't understand the scope. All the ivy on any city tree or what's the cost per unit? I don't really know what you're.
It's, I don't really either, but I know that there's trees that.
Maybe if we went a step at a time or so, because
Okay.
I'm kind of with you, Karen, which is how many trees are infected? What are we looking at? And we're asking for one thing. Maybe we should be incremental.
I don't know, but when we get the tree survey, I don't know if they might.
Don't we have the tree
I've noted.
inventory?
Did that
Right.
happen?
It should.
It should
The
be-
the work by the arborists to complete the tree inventory was finished last week.
Okay.
The field work. So we haven't actually, received everything and reviewed it at this point in time, but the arborist, field work is completed.
Okay. So maybe just ask if they do that kind of work or not.
Cool. And will the tree survey show ivy infected trees?
That's what I was. They might.
It will, perhaps, I don't know if we, have a specific like checkbox that we can run a report on, but they were covering like if there is maintenance needed or, anything of that sort. So hopefully they would note that. Like they have a lot of different categories of condition of the tree and any kind of work that would be needed. So it's likely that would be embedded in some of those kind of sections. I believe there are also pictures of
Yeah,
the
and
trees included, which might be harder to scour, but
And we did talk with the subcommittee. We didn't just come up with it by ourselves, so I don't know if it was specifically mentioned, which, yeah, could have had a checkbox, but we didn't do that.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So I have two questions. One, this says mapping of target invasive species. Do we give them that list, or do they have the list, or does that list come from the county?
I would give them that list in coordination with the county and probably in coordination with our regulation. The mapping is actually the county asks them to map in CalFlora every invasive that they remove.
Okay, good. I just wanted to make sure that the stuff in the new ordinance is part of that. And then the second thing, if you scroll up, I hope they're sprayers, but they might look like gas-powered weed whackers or something.
I saw that.
So rather than telling them what to do, could you let them know that if they have gas-powered tools, the city of Brisbane is, looking at ways to reduce our dependence on fossil fuels and move to electric? And if they have that option in the future, we'd be behind that.
Yeah, it's going to be tough on the mouth.
Did we have that
I know.
conversation with Mark Heath in the past? Does anybody recall? I feel like it came up, maybe
I feel like
in
it did too, but
Edinburgh.
all I can think about is there's no wild current bushes to plug into.
Yes, I know.
Well, there was something about having the batteries and having to switch out the batteries.
Yeah,
and
the
how
trick
long
is
they
you just need so
lasted.
many batteries that you can charge
you
them
can't
overnight.
carry 'em.
And
Yeah.
so it's not easy, but if we keep telling people that when they have to make that decision, we have tipped the scales a little bit. So
Yeah,
I don't
point.
expect them to do it this year or next year, but
right,
can't hurt to remind them.
Good idea.
definitely, thanks.
Thank you.
And Karen, so this really does tie pretty well with what we've done in the past, including their hourly rate for their various and sundry roles?
Yeah,
Okay, because those seem kind of high.
So it was 20 before and now it's 24?
the budget,
We spent 20 previously?
that's what the budget was in prior years.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that we got a little increase in the budget.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm looking for approval to award this contract to Recon.
I move, we approve.
I second.
Roll call vote. Mary?
Aye.
Michelle?
Aye.
Aaron is aye. Jason?
Aye.
Very good. Thank you,
Thanks for
Karen.
working on this, Karen.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
I leaned in.
I'm sorry, I have an oral communication out of line. I would like to thank Karen. It is Public Works Week or whatever it is. Thank you for continuing to support us all of these years.
Adrian's technically in Public Works too.
Oh, and Adrian, sorry. I didn't see you in the front of the picture. I'm sorry, Adrian. Thank you.
I was on Zoom, but nobody ever moved us out of the watching room on Zoom. I had a board meeting in Half Moon Bay earlier, so.
That's because you weren't running the meeting, Adrian.
In Aaron's defense, I'm going to say that maybe you had in mind the fact that you had that moment of clarity that we could just tack on the invasives to current stuff. So no disparagement to Adrian. Kudos to you both.
Yeah, and Karen, you're the senior member of the group.
With Diane has worked for Brisbane a little bit longer than me.
But is she in Public Works?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
but together we are, yeah.
Yeah, I'm like maybe a month or two apart or a year? Not even a year.
Not even a year.
Yeah.
Right. Did you see the employees who have been here longer than Clay and 160 years between us or something like that.
Yeah. I knew that.
Benjamin Franklin.
Okay,
Excellent. I think we're good with this. Moving on.
next.
Staff updates?
Staff updates.
We are already there. Awesome. So I have some things I'm going to leave for subcommittee reports, but on my staff updates list, I will note that the power purchase agreement and the interconnection agreement, so prior with PCE and latter with PG&E for the solar installation at the new Brisbane Library, have been signed. It's still going to be, I believe, early next year before they will actually be doing the installation. Maybe later this year. It has to be completed by April 2026 to keep us on that net energy metering 2.0. We got that application in like just at the very last minute last year. So, but that is in the works. Karen and I also met with Willdan, who are our design build contractors for the pool heating electrification project today. Our PG&E incentive funding application has been resubmitted, and Peninsula Clean Energy's funding application that we are hoping is going to help put us over the finish line to actually be able to complete that project, get it moving forward again, just opened. So we are in the works of getting all of those funding pieces hopefully settled. On another grant route, I just completed the reporting for the Cal-E-VIP funding. That's the funding that covered the installations of our fast charger here at City Hall, along with the level 2 chargers here and at Mission Blue Center. So that final reporting was just submitted. They've requested a couple of tweaks to it, but that should be finished very soon. The Bayshore project, due to the need to do the PG&E upgrade, which is still pending, was actually pulled from our Cal-E-VIP application and done directly through PCE, because we could actually get a little bit more money from them for that project somehow, and they are much more flexible with the delays that we have encountered. So still hoping. We keep being told we'll have a date for final construction completion next week. That's been, what, 3 or 4 weeks now. So, yay, fun.
Can I make a small request?
Mhm.
You know the announcement about the library and the solar?
Mhm.
Could you send a letter to Ray and Anya Miller about the progress and where we're at with that from the committee? This has been a pet project peeve of Anya's for a long time, and Ray actually helped found the OSEC. It was and it would be really a wonderful thing to do. I think it'd
Could
make
that
them
be
very
in
happy.
an email?
An email?
Email's great. Yeah.
Can we dedicate it to them?
Hmm?
Can we dedicate it to them?
I'd love to do that, but that's kind of out of my job description.
No, I'm not sure how we do that, but
But I think
I guess we could ask.
I mean, really, you don't have to have a plaque. You just put it in a newspaper somewhere. But yeah.
I just think it would make them very, very happy to know that this is actually happening. And I don't want to wait till it's done. I'd rather do it now.
Sure.
Thank you so much.
Or maybe some recognition in the luminary or little article.
Yeah.
I would probably leave something like that until we actually have it done.
Okay. Yeah.
But I can send
But
them
they
an
would
update.
love to know that this is actually happening.
Let's see. I already did that
Adrian,
one.
that is a bunch of applications and progress. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a
Well,
lot of updates.
I'm only like halfway through my list.
Oh, sorry. I interrupted you.
This one would have been an Alejandra update, but she's out of town right now. So the building efficiency program deadline was last week. We have 48 buildings in compliance as of yesterday, a handful that are pending, but another 47 that have still not submitted. So we're going to be bugging them, and we will not be waiting a whole lot longer before we start sending out notices of violation, because this is like year 3 or 4, and they've all done this before, so running out of excuses for this one.
What's the stick? happens if
Well,
they never
after they
submit?
get a notice of violation, if they still don't complete it, then we will send citations.
All right.
So,
Good for us.
but they're not fun to do because it's like a lot of paperwork and certified mail, and it's we try to avoid that because it's not fun for us either. We already talked about the Planet Geo inventory was, the field work was completed. And then I'm going to preempt some questions I assume would come from you later. I checked with Ingrid. We have one applicant for the OSEC seat, and I didn't find John this afternoon, so I asked Clay. He tells me that the quarry EIR is likely coming first, and they're aiming to have it out at the end of June, but that's obviously very tentative and subject to change. And then Baylands would follow. They will not be out simultaneously or open simultaneously, so that's targeting early fall.
Yeah, and the deadline for applications for OSEC has been extended, along with all the other, to June 5th.
Yes, thank you. That was it.
I don't have any.
All right, moving on to subcommittee reports and reorg. Reorg. Oh, okay.
Was that today?
Apparently it's today, but let's do reports first, and then we can talk about reorg after that, just to get through the reports and not have a bunch of whatever.
Yeah.
There we go. Okay, so starting with the standing committees, first one is events.
We haven't had a committee meeting for events, but we're not meeting in June, and so July will be the next time we meet. We need to start talking about Day in the Park.
Yep.
And I think through one of the other subcommittees, Education and Outreach, we talked about maybe focusing on litter as part of our main focus for Day in the Park for OSEC, and we can talk about that.
Mhm.
So that's right. I mean, that's.
Don't we have an event, though, coming up?
We would be having a summer habitat restoration day. I think we are tentatively looking at July 13th, if I'm remembering that right. I think I put it on the calendar slides. I need to go back and confirm with Ariel, but we had discussed it after our last event with Ariel.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure he said that would work.
And I'm pretty sure I won't be able to make it on July 13th,
Okay.
but,
And coastal cleanup. I want to throw that out there. Yeah.
oh,
That's
coastal
coastal
cleanup
cleanup
is
would
in
be
Day in the Park,
September.
September, yeah.
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 So those are upcoming.
Do you have the date for coastal cleanup yet? Is that on the calendar?
It's-
It is. I want to say it's the 21st, but I know
Okay.
it's on the calendar.
And do you want me to suggest that we coordinate the Yacht Club Regatta for the same day so that we can do the same thing again, or not?
I am certainly open to that. I think it worked out really well. I mean, I don't want to,
Yeah.
you know,
I'll just bring it up.
presume to tell them what to do, but I think it would be great if we can do that again. It worked out very well last time. And
us
Randy
too.
and I actually met with Jordan. Is it
Bo.
Bo? Yeah,
Mhm.
Jordan Bo. That was probably about 3 weeks or a month ago or something, and we discussed that with him as well.
Yeah.
He's very interested in having us go to, I forget what the name of that beach is that he was calling it. He's like got a name for the beach.
I don't know what he's calling. Just to bring the rest of the committee up to snuff, Jordan Bowe, who is the proprietor of Royal Hawaiian Seafood, a sustainable seafood for restaurants, wholesale, is starting a nonprofit to restore oyster beds and use, be able to use oyster shells and that type of thing with eelgrass and oyster beds And the pilot area that we're going to do first is along, hopefully, along the bay side of Old Bay Shore in Brisbane, including part of the, the north end of the marina and possibly the south end of the marina and Oyster Point Cove. So it's just it's pretty much in its infant stages, but it's happening. So,
Progress.
yeah. And Jordan is fully committed to it.
Yeah, we had a good chat with them.
Yeah.
Moving on to education, sorry, moving on to education and outreach.
Okay, update on that. OSEC, in conjunction with Park and Rec and the Youth Advisory Committee, met last week, Wednesday, to talk about the litter program, using the grabbers, or getting grabbers for the community to either check out, or we will provide them, I guess, give them to interested parties to, adopt an area and keep it clean. So there was a lot of ideas thrown out by the group, and the conversation went really well. There was discussion on possible artwork that we could purchase. I don't know if you have a picture of that great fish or whatever it was.
I don't
know where they have it, but Frank from Park and Rec brought it up. I think it was in Chicago because he used to be a commissioner.
I
for
was
the Park
thinking
and
it was
Rec in
actually Florida.
Was it Florida?
Didn't he
Okay.
say something
But
about
it's just
Florida?
like giant welded fish where people would throw their plastics.
Yeah,
in the
I saw
fish.
that on
It
I
was
saw
pretty
that
cool.
on Facebook.
So everybody seemed real excited about that. So we're going to do a little research to see how much that would cost, and possibly there it is. Possibly have the the Public Arts Committee maybe throw in a few bucks. I don't know. Anyway, so bottom line is we need to get the grabbers and get some signs, coordinate that, and then possibly have a kickoff celebration of the grabbers, and educating the public on why we want to do this, why it's important, how they can help, and have some type of barbecue. And then the discussion came up about, it would be great to have this as the focus for Day in the Park in October. So
We could even have a contest, trash treasure
yep,
contest, like hand out grabbers and then have them bring their trash treasure to the Day in the Park and vote.
there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I will
there's
say
a lot
we
of ideas.
did that a couple of times, and it went great during COVID, and then kind of like
Oh,
Fizzled.
no, I'm not talking about making art. I'm talking about what you found when you were picking up a bag of trash.
Okay. Well, you said trash to treasure, and I was like,
No, I meant trash
not this again.
treasures. There was no two in there.
Okay.
And then picking up dog poop was also a big discussion too. And
Oh, I saw the
Yeah.
funniest thing. Someone made little sticks with somebody's picture on it, who I won't mention. And wherever somebody left a pile of dog poo, they put the little like straw with the picture on it.
Shaming the owner.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the owners
yeah.
that didn't clean up after the dog, and that was the photo.
No, it was
Oh.
a political figure who was on the photo, but
That's not as fun.
No, it wasn't as fun, but it would be.
Yeah. But anyway, next steps are, I think we're going to have another meeting, correct, Adrian?
Yeah, I think we talked about trying to meet again in June or July.
I think so, yeah, June, July
in the next
timeframe.
month or two.
Yeah.
After I know I have some homework to do,
Yeah.
including getting the minutes out to the notes out to everybody, and then Noreen
Yeah.
had a couple of things she was going to follow up on regarding the artwork, and then also the litter signs. Remember,
Oh, yeah, the litter signs.
they wanted to put some kind of Brisbane customization on the "Why are you littering?"
They didn't like the standard ones that were on Amazon or
Signs.
wherever
Yeah.
we were looking at, but a little bit softer than like pick up your crap, right? So it'll be a little softer than that. So.
Well, it's like the one that we were talking about is like, "Why are you littering?
Oh yeah,
I'm a jerk.
yeah,
Mommy still cleans up after me."
yeah. It was a little.
Some
Some folks didn't take kindly.
Some
to
of
that,
them liked
so-
it. Some of them didn't love the language. You know. So
Yeah.
That might work better in the industrial area than the
Yeah.
community park. Yeah.
But bottom line, I think we're on the right path, and we just need to get our homework done and then take it from there. So it went well. Thank you.
good meeting.
Moving on to the PCA grant.
Yay.
Yay.
Well done, Adrian.
So it's
Do you
submitted.
wanna- It's submitted.
Well, so it's not a letter of intent, but the initial,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
the
it's
spreadsheet is submitted.
letter of intent, letter of interest,
All right.
letter of interest. I think.
What is that? mean?
Yes,
RFP?
was submitted.
They'll come back if they want
We
more
will
information.
find out June 6th. They will be releasing decisions or invitations to submit full applications, I believe is actually what it is. And then if we are invited for a full application, I believe that's due late August, August 26th or 28th or something like that.
Late August, will Aaron, I'm sorry, never mind.
Yes, if
Yes.
we have to give a full application, it would be due late August.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Very good.
And if we get invited in that intervening period between early June and late August, we would try to contact the property owner and negotiate a
Yep.
price. So we
That's
could
exactly.
acquisition price, so we could put that in the application.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you again. For,
Next on the list is the building decarb.
Do you want to talk about it?
I wish I could remember. We met. We met, and there was someone who joined us from, was it PCE? No,
TRC.
TRC. Thank you.
Yes, but they are supporting us in other jurisdictions because PCE is paying them to do so. So
Very good. Yes.
yeah, they're
quite,
involved.
quite knowledgeable. It was good. We talked about the, Berkeley strategy of basically not allowing gas in new buildings, being shot down by the courts. And so the current strategy is to make sure that every new building can go electric. So has all of the capacity and the appropriate connections, 240 versus whatever. So you can have an EV, you can have an electric stove, you can have electric dryer. So
Yeah.
it doesn't eliminate gas, but if you had to do both, it kind of changes the math.
Yeah.
So, was there anything else from that meeting that I didn't remember?
There wasn't, but I have kind of more that has happened since then. So Taylor from TRC, who joined us, and I coordinated on some of the updates we had discussed, including that EV code part that was really badly worded. So that has been revised. I talked with Jeremiah from the planning department about it this morning. So we think it's ready to go out for our internal reviews, department heads, legal, etc. So we're going to be sending that out pretty soon here. And tentatively trying to take it to city council on July 18th, but obviously that's, dependent on what we hear back in those reviews, especially on the energy performance code piece that will probably, the most substantial review will come from CSG, who are our folks who do our building permit reviews and inspections, because there's a lot of really technical stuff in there. So we'll have to see what they have to say on that front, but we're getting that process started and maybe trying to move it forward as soon as the July 18th meeting. Otherwise, September probably.
Very good, thank you. Next up is the Crocker Trail Frog Habitat.
Okay, so we had the committee met. That was Jason, myself, Karen, Michelle couldn't make it last week for half an hour just to talk about, what's the end game with this project and what do we want to get out of the property owner. So it was decided that we just want to tell the property owner we want to take care of the channel, right? That's bottom line. So then Jason, Paul Buscal, and actually Paul Buscal was on the call too last Wednesday. We appreciate him attending. He has a lot of history and a lot of knowledge. And so the three of us, Jason, Paul, and myself, met on Sunday at the library and pulled together a quick PowerPoint for the property owner and hopefully Clay and all of us when we meet with them to just kind of walk through and propose, we want to take over the maintenance of the channel. And then once that's agreed upon, then we'll take it from there. But you have a copy of the...
Yeah, I got it. I got to look at it. I just had a couple of comments, which I can send back around about trimming weeds to no.
Oh, the 6 inches?
6
Yeah,
inch.
yeah. I put that in there because that was, I thought that was
Yeah. I just
stressed. Okay.
reworded it to
Yeah,
be
you
more
can- yeah, just
specific and to
whatever you want.
say, within the nature garden area
Okay.
or native plant garden. I think I said that didn't apply because where Paul's got the willows, we're not going to weed whack in there.
Right.
And I just reworded a couple things, so I'll send it
Okay.
back around, and I want to send it to staff, to Clay and Public Works Director, and then we can set up that meeting.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, the only thing that wasn't clear for me was the property line illustration. I had a hard time orienting to it
Okay.
until I saw the one that you had sent, the bigger one. Then it was very clear
Oh,
where you were
okay,
looking at.
yeah.
So I think maybe we should,
I cut and paste that
Yeah.
into,
yeah,
yeah,
so,
okay. But I think they, it's the channel, so.
yeah, it's the channel.
Yeah.
I got,
Okay.
And it might help to put the business address on the building. That might make it a little more clear. I didn't look at if it had a north arrow, so I'll look at that again.
Okay.
Very good, and I completely skipped the open space plan update, sorry about
Yeah.
that.
we haven't had any.
And
We
I
haven't
want
had
to
a
jump
meeting in a
in
while.
right away and apologize that I did not ask the city attorney about you guys joining that committee. I forgot.
Oh, okay.
So now I will not forget.
That was from last.
Do that right
time.
away.
It was, are we still banned from that committee?
Oh, from the,
Oh, yeah,
From
yeah,
open space
yeah.
plan?
yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Moving on to invasive species. Now I'm all worried I'm skipping everything. So I unless you want to, Jason.
Please, go ahead.
So the invasive species ordinance had a minor update and re-signing since we talked about it. The the one specific passion,
Passiflora jamesonii.
that one was removed because it's not on the IPC list. That's the Invasive Plant Council, California's, as well as more specificity was added to the common and Latin names because in our desire to keep it simple, we also made it so things like the cousin it plant, which everyone loves and is non-invasive, had been included in our ordinance. So it's just a little better and tighter now and something we can be proud of. And Adrian, you mentioned that they were having a meeting. Was that going to be in June? I don't remember.
Cal IPSI has a conference in the fall and has a call for abstracts that is due June 15th, I believe it is, or something right around there in mid-June. For proposals to either present or do a poster or something.
We should talk about that, poster or present. It doesn't have to be me, but I am pretty proud of our little city for getting that done, Karen. And
Yeah, so let's set up the meeting. We had not heard back from Glenn. It seems like she's been sick, so maybe that's why we didn't hear from her, but let's just set a time, and if she can make it, she can. If not,
If not,
we
we'll
can
take
work
notes.
on that.
Yep.
What else? So there's an article, maybe the Luminary is already printed, I
It's out.
guess.
I saw it today.
And it's going to be in the Star. But, and I did communicate with our code enforcement officer about what's involved, and he wants training on the plants, but I said that we were going to work on cheat sheets, and he was very interested in having that too, so
Okay.
we'll talk about that at our meeting.
All right, so we've got homework. I love it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
If I was code enforcement, I would want a cheat sheet.
Yeah, yes,
Not,
exactly.
not a list of Latin words. I would like, oh, I need a little picture too.
Maybe we could have that cheat sheet available to people who are going out shopping for plants.
Yes.
That's a great idea.
That is a good idea.
A little pamphlet.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a great idea too. Moving on to the dark skies ordinance. Well, I don't think we've met since the last meeting, except the last meeting we did do the hike, and so outbriefing that is probably good. A whole gag of us met at Firth Park and drove halfway up to the water tower on Margaret, and I need to take some responsibility. I didn't go look at the sight lines. They weren't quite as good as the road that services 3 houses on up behind Kings off of, what is that road
Beatrice.
called? Beatrice?
Beatrice.
Beatrice. So there was definitely some good looks. I think it was an overall fun night. We did miss our red wine and hot chocolate opportunity, but maybe next time.
It was really fun, and Aaron did a great job guiding us up there. And even though we couldn't see as much of the lights up there, we got to see the dark, which people really appreciated. And I think people loved going up there. And then we came back down and had a fantastic view from above Aaron's house. And people really liked that as well. I think people really enjoyed it. I had positive feedback from several people.
I'm excited to see how things look in a year, right? Because by then, all of the lights will be turned down and people will have replacing their bulbs.
We
and
hope.
We
Yeah.
hope, yeah.
Yeah. But we
And
still-
especially the big businesses, Ecology and the gas tanks, those are gonna make a big impact on my view. I don't know about everyone
Yeah,
else.
I
mine
think
too.
everybody's.
Yeah.
And I also think that we still need, of course, constant outreach on this one.
Oh,
So
yeah.
people
Oh, yeah.
really understand. And they kind of need I think if we gave some very clear instructions, like, you have a problem, here's what you do. You know, like 1, 2, 3, 4. So, how to address it.
Yep.
And what you can address.
Moving on down to tree issues. Michelle?
We tried to have a meeting, but we didn't really get it together to have one. Did we?
No, were we trying to meet, or were we waiting to get back the results from the inventory?
I think we were waiting to get back the results from the inventory. And so we haven't met again, but we should do that coming up.
And, and there was also the piece about concerns with the ordinance, and that was what didn't happen, is that
Right.
I was thinking that you guys were gonna meet without me and put that together, but when I watched back the video, I said, I'll set up a meeting, so I'll set up that meeting.
Yeah, and I think that we should review the ordinance and see if we really do need to modify it or if we just need to enforce it better. Or if it's even able to be modified, because some stuff involves private property owners and there's not much we can do about some of that.
Yeah, the ordinance is about private property,
Right.
right?
But we could look through it and see where we might be able to supplement with being able to help people resolve things or have a hotline for them to call us before they file to get a permit to remove a tree. It's really challenging right now because the insurance companies are really on everybody to cut back, 3 to 5 feet from any structure. And that, in some cases, just is really challenging.
Yeah.
Especially if you live in a forest.
It's the long view, but have we started also helping people think about what trees they want to plant and where, so that in 20 years we have more tall trees?
We need to do that.
Yeah.
That's a big part of what I think the tree committee really needs to do is
Yeah.
have a very good, solid recommendations and resources for looking at not having certain trees.
Mhm.
I mean, it's been 3 years since we had the black locust tree removed, and I am still spraying stump sprouts trying to get rid of them. Although I'm not, I mean, I'm using vinegar and salt and soap, but 3 years and they're still sprouting all over the place. Really nasty tree. Yeah.
Okay, moving on to the Baylands specific plan. I'm gonna guess no updates.
No updates.
And so the next thing on the list, I also assume the inactive subcommittees are inactive. It also said reorganization on here. There are 2 highlights where Shauna has left holes. Do we need to fill those tonight, given that we don't have a full committee and possibly we're gonna have a new member?
I think given that we also don't have an answer about your ability to participate on the open space plan update committee, I think we go ahead and leave that for now.
Okay.
Also, for the Bayland specific plans, we would then have 2 members each on each of the 3 different subcommittees. So it seems like unless somebody's chomping at the bit to take on extra chapters, that's probably good to just not fill unless or until we have a new committee member who
Excellent.
may decide they would rather be a third person on a different group.
Right.
So,
Sounds good, right? So
Yeah.
we would defer
yeah,
until July.
we'll punt.
Till
we'll punt.
July.
Yeah.
Good,
Good.
good.
Moving on to calendar items. This is my favorite chart in the briefing every time.
Okay, so I mentioned earlier habitat restoration event to be confirmed, but we're looking at the 13th. And then Coastal Cleanup Day is in fact on the 21st, and Day in the Park October 5th. So those will be here before we know it. We will not be meeting next month because I will be at the California Climate and Energy Conference in Palm Springs. In July, we will be ready for election of chair and vice chair. I'm not sure what else there is that we need to note on here.
I would
Just,
say later on in the year, we'll have that vegetation management plan report from Recon, probably towards the end of the year. And I see you have in June acres letters to property owners. So I did send the letter that was sent out in the past. Are the 2 of you that are on that subcommittee able to just redo that letter without having to meet with me and just email it?
Yeah. Okay. Let's do it.
Okay,
Okay. Just
Alright.
collar me. And let's sit
Yeah.
down and do it.
we can do it, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be easier, because when I have to set up all the meetings, it's
Huh?
hard.
Do we have the?
Do we have the old letter?
I sent it
Okay.
Okay.
to you guys.
It's, I think, more important than ever now with the potential of them splitting the acres and allowing ADUs and everything else like that, that we just really need to get aggressive about trying to get those properties and not lose that.
Michelle,
Open
what's the
space.
splitting the acres?
Pardon?
What is it you're saying, the splitting the acres?
Well, there was a zoning thing that I think came before the planning commission or the council about being able to split an acre's property, and then both parts would be able to do an ADU. So that quadruples the potential. I was surprised that the acres were included with that.
So splitting undeveloped?
Yeah, splitting, and I think it's because of is it SB 209 or something?
I don't remember what the number is, but I'm pretty sure it's in response to state legislation.
Right, but that is being contested right now in the state of California.
Okay.
It might get overthrown. So I advise that we should wait, but on doing that. Because it just opens the door.
Oops.
And then
Excellent.
will we be reviewing is this the draft EIR that's coming out for the quarry project?
Yes, it would be the draft EIR is my understanding of what we are currently anticipating being probably late June.
Okay, and then are we reviewing it as a group? It really does impact open space.
We might need to split it like we split the Baylands to
yeah,
keep the
that seems worthwhile.
subcommittees at 3 or less people.
Yeah.
So that we don't have to publicize all of our meetings
Uh-huh.
and agendize them 2 days in advance
Just for the
for the quarry.
quarry, right?
Or make a,
I think we requested that OSEC review, and I think that was okayed. I don't know if it was okayed in writing. That was done some time ago. But yes, as far as subcommittees, I mean, I don't know. Yeah. that would
You
probably
might
be
want to
in
confirm
July.
that the council does want our feedback.
I mean, I think we have already
Okay,
done that.
all right.
That
If
step.
you hear otherwise, let us know.
will be feedback from us as private citizens of Brisbane. But,
Is obviously always
yeah.
an option.
I don't know if you can divide into subcommittees without having the document, right?
Yeah,
Without
that's
what?
that's
Without
kind of
having the document.
correct.
Well, no, we won't do that till we have the document. Yeah. I just wanted to make sure that we have a clear path to be able to do that in a timely manner.
Okay, so the problem here is that if it comes out in the end of June and we don't have a meeting in the end of June, we don't get to pick subcommittees until our meeting
July.
that's the end of July.
But can you make sure that we get the document when it comes out?
It should be publicly available,
I
right?
mean, I think it would be publicly noticed and everything. I can,
One
you know,
would
when
hope, But
I'm pretty certain it would have to be. So it would be going out presumably in the blast and any other communications. I mean, once it is gone out that way, I can,
okay.
you know, make sure that you have all you forward it or whatever, but it's probably going to come out while I'm going to be out of town for a week. And while Aaron's on a boat.
They have shipped
Thanks.
ashore. She'll have plenty of time sailing.
Okay, moving on to chair and committee member matters. I got nothing. Ah, look at that. Oh, Shauna, we miss you if you're
We miss
listening.
Shauna.
Oh, Shauna.
I'll need to make an update before our next meeting. Sorry, I didn't notice that.
Do we have chair and committee matters?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
The Crocker Trail, you know, all those little channels that have been that popped up after the heavy rains, are they going to get fixed?
Yes. We have got a quote from the original contractor.
Yeah.
We need to kind of revise it because it was like T&M, we can do this, that, and they're having to specify exactly what they're going to do. So, you know, the way that Public Works staff is approaching it is we applied for grant money to construct, and we didn't have grant money to get a consultant to do a design. So we weren't able to do an extensive, like, what's going to happen to the drainage exactly when this gets built. We were hoping that it would stay on both sides of the trail. But now, with what's happened, we can spend the money actually making the improvements instead of having to do that engineering and spend money for those improvements. So we have a quote to kind of grade the shoulders and make sure the water drains. And in a couple of places, we're going to have to harden the surface with concrete. So instead of it being like a valley gutter that's a little bit steep, it's going to be like 20 feet or more, kind of sloped very gently so that the water will get across where it's eroded out those areas. We had to wait till it stopped raining to put equipment on it, and it's taken a little process to figure out what to do, to get that quote, to get it right, but it should be happening in a few weeks.
Oh, great. Okay. Thank you.
I let Nicole know when they did the mental health awareness walk out there because I thought, well, people might be asking, so.
Yeah, it was, I didn't, I knew those channels were, on the, whatever, by Lippman, you go down that way to the right towards the dog park, there's a bunch there, but I didn't realize on the other side, across from Cypress up that way, that there was a lot more. And, those channels have been filled in with larger rocks.
Yeah, that was kind of a temporary measure
Yeah,
that we could
yeah.
do without putting equipment on it, just
Yeah,
kind of fill it
got
in
it.
so it wasn't a big
Yeah.
trip
I
hazard.
figured something was happening, so, thank you.
Did we solve the problem about horses? Like sharing?
You know, it's strange. We had a couple of meetings, you know, we put up signs, no horses, right? And then the people that rent out their horses or go out there wanted to meet. They met with the city manager, the public works director. I was there. They proposed that they'd worked out an arrangement other places and they were gonna bring that information back. And I never heard anything more about it, but I am hearing that the horses haven't been on the trail. So it'll probably have to resurface and still get resolved.
Yeah, okay.
Next meeting.
Jason, you've been quiet. Anything else?
Next meeting,
All right, next meeting.
July
July
24th.
24th. Enjoy your summers, you guys. Thank you.
Bang. Oh, yes. You didn't do that.